Hi, folks, and welcome to the next series of WorkAway Offices podcasts. Today, I had the pleasure of interviewing Paul Young, the president and CEO of Polar Data Inc. Polar Data, we've been working with them for a long time, and they are a managed service provider servicing many small businesses, mid and medium-sized businesses across the Ottawa area for many years, and they are a full IT solutions provider. I think one of the things you'll find from today's session is some of the insights that Paul shared with regard to what advice he would give to business owners, either starting out and making sure that they're focused in the right way to maximize their business growth and to also maximize their full potential. So stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy this next podcast. Paul, it's so great to have you here, and thank you for coming to the WorkAway Offices podcast today. We've known each other for a long time, and so I'm really looking forward to having you on the podcast today and having our audience learn a little bit more about you as well. So, Paul, I've known you for a long time, but I know our audience is just meeting you for the first time. Tell us a little bit about Paul and tell us a little bit about Polar Data, your company.
Well, first and foremost, thanks very much, Vince, for having me here. It's an honor and a pleasure to be on this podcast. I guess I'll start with on the business side. I worked at Bell Northern Research, Nortel, formerly, for about 10 to 12 years, somewhere in there. And then I ended up starting Polar Data. And Polar Data Inc. is a MSP company, so a managed service provider. And we provide services to private businesses, medium and large businesses in the Ottawa area and across Canada. And yeah, it's just an honor to be here.
No, it's great to have you here, Paul. And, when you talk about Nortel, it's funny. We won't go down that rabbit hole, but did you have any shares in Nortel? I know I did, and they went from about 100 down to nothing. But anyway, let's not dwell on that. Paul, you've been helping us, and Polar Data has been helping us for 20 years, probably, maybe longer than that. Maybe. So I'm very well aware of the great work that you do, and I've recommended you many times. But tell our audience what are some of the areas that Polar Data specializes in, and what kind of industries do you work with?
That's a great question. So we, as an MSP, a managed service provider, we provide services to a number of different types of businesses, and there's really no templated business that is perfect for us. All of the businesses require IT services and assistance, and that's really what we're there for. We have clients that are in the medical industry, financial industry, clients that are in various different industries like, professional strength training or roofing, residential roofing, or the roofs that go on large buildings, right? Mm. And so all of these companies have different areas and different needs. And, it's a real pleasure to be able to provide service and help address those needs. And certainly now in today's day and age with the focus on cybersecurity, it's more and more prevalent.
Absolutely. What would you say is your competitive advantage? Like why should companies work with you and Polar Data?
That's an outstanding question, Vince. So thank you for asking that, because that's really something that I wanted to speak on. Most of the employees on my team and with our organization have been with us for an extended period of time. We have employees that have been with us for 20 plus years.
Very true. And I know them all.
And so they're here because they love what they do and they enjoy working at Polar Data Inc. And I think it's a balance between enjoying what you do and how your employer treats you. And so when you are treated not like a number, but like an actual valued member of the organization and team, and you have a great work-life balance, which we very much push for with our employees. Believe it or not, some of our employees would prefer not to take lunch. And so we insist that they take lunch. When they work late, we try and buy them dinner and really let them know how much we appreciate them. And that sort of flows down to the clients, because that perspective or that philosophy really works well with the clients, because they're not just a number to us. We truly care about their well-being and how they're doing with their infrastructure and as a person as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm a witness to that, and I've been a fortunate receiver of that as well, Paul. And I can say that to you and to our audience that we've always felt very well looked after with Polar Data and with your help. I know that I can pick up the phone and I can call you, or I can call Jordan, or one of the other members of your team, and we get instant response. And so personally, from a business owner point of view, and here we have a business where we must deliver critical things like safe and secure and fast internet, that we know that Polar Data has our back with that. So, this is one of the, tell us a little bit about, again, I know how I've benefited. Can you give us an example of how perhaps there's been a business experience out there and how businesses have benefited from your services? If there's an example that you can provide where something happened and maybe, Polar Data sort of, came to the rescue.
Sure. Again, thank you for the question. There's a couple of examples I can give you. One quick example is one that most people wouldn't, well, some companies wouldn't perceive it as a positive thing, but it was very positive. So one of our clients that was a potential future client and became a future client had called us in to look at their server infrastructure. This is several years ago. And they had a shared server within their work environment with a couple of companies. And so set up by previous IT firm. And when I came in and actually looked at the infrastructure and the hardware, I was really taken back, because the server was clearly 10 plus years old. And what I told the owner, because the owner had asked us to potentially shut the server down and put a new component into the server because one was dying. It was still functioning properly, but eventually the component would die. And I said, absolutely not. This server, if I sneezed on this server, it may blow up. And so I need to make sure that this thing is backed up and you're protected first. And I asked them, do you have full backups of this? How recent are they? And ensured that they went down that path first. That consultation period of me sort of denying them the service actually led to a relationship that is now, after 15 years of work. And so this was years ago that this had occurred. And so that company had got purchased, and they highly recommended us moving forward to the new company. So that's one example. Recently, one of the offices had a server issue, and the server issue happened during a very precarious time. So I got a phone call about 10 minutes into the Super Bowl, and for an emergency. And this office is, like many, time-based billing. And so this was on a Sunday evening at 6:40 or 6:45, and it was very clear that the office would not be up the next morning because the server had a number of issues. We scheduled with the owner to go in early the next morning, very early, look at the server, which we did, and help get that server back up the next day. But it comes down to providing a level of service that you would like yourself, and being treated in the same manner that you'd like to be treated. And so it's not all numbers and dollars and cents, but that's certainly important. But it's also about treating people with dignity and being respectful and understanding this is their business and this is how they generate revenue. And as a service company, you're reliant upon that revenue as well.
Yeah.
For your services.
And by the way, the Eagles won.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I think they won in the first quarter, didn't they?
No kidding. Yeah. No kidding.
So
but anyway.
I didn't miss much.
No. And, Paul, you've been a business owner for a long time. Our audience is made up of business owners, startups, AI enthusiasts, service professionals. If there was a message that you could give to other business owners as a longtime business owner yourself, what would it be? And if there's more than one, that's fine too. But what kind of message would you send out to other fellow business owners?
These are great questions. Like I'm really enjoying the questions because it gives me the opportunity to talk about stuff that I'm passionate about. And this is something that I speak about quite often. I actually mentioned it yesterday when I was just out in my day, speaking to some young people that, young to me, that are in their early 20s or mid 20s. And they just had asked this question of me. First and foremost, love what you do. Mm-hmm. So if you don't enjoy what you do, you're not going to want to be at work. You're not going to want to be to work on time. When you are at work, your mindset and your work ethic are going to suffer because you're not having fun, and this isn't what you want to do. You're going to be thinking, geez, when does this end? When can I go home? Mm-hmm. So love what you do. That's really important. And then, and also, if you're not sure and you're a young entrepreneur, don't be afraid to try things. Mm-hmm. A lot of people talk about failure, but some of these, and I don't like that word failure, some of these different areas that you attempt and try things in will lead to an area that you really, truly love. And I have this philosophy in life. You're never failing. You're always learning. Mm-hmm. You're always benefiting if you really look at what you're doing, and everywhere you go, you're learning something and you're putting it into your toolbox. Mm-hmm. One of the directors at Nortel had said that to me. He said, Paul, it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you're in a infrastructure role where you're, designing and installing network infrastructure at Bell Northern Research, or whether you're in a consulting role where you're going to the client site in Annapolis, Maryland, and consulting with AT&T and advising them on products, or whether you're in a classroom teaching engineers and senior technicians about this multimedia switch. Everywhere you go, you're going to learn something, and that's a tool that you put in the toolbox and you take with you. I guess the other things that I would tell young entrepreneurs and business owners is be true to yourself and to your company, right? Be true to yourself. And so know what your strengths are. Don't be afraid to delegate. Business owners tend to gather stuff together and try and control it. That's not the road to success. Mm-hmm. Invest in your employees, hire well, and invest in them and help them grow. Don't expect them to be perfect because you're not perfect. I'm not perfect, but expect them to want to grow and put steps in place to allow them to grow. So that's an investment in today mm-hmm. and in the future. And that's another point that I wanted to make was do those things that help you right now, but also help you in the future. And you know what? It's important as a business owner because we're trying to be successful. We're trying to grow our business, but it's incredibly important to live a balanced life. Mm-hmm. And so I stress that to my employees as well. Like I mentioned earlier, I have several employees that if they had their way, they would skip lunch. And it's like, absolutely not. And so one of our long-term policies and procedures that we have internally is if our employee's working late and they're working late on a small project or a small item, I want them to buy dinner and expense it, and I want to pay for dinner. If it's a big project, I'm going to be there if at all possible. Mm-hmm. Now, I own the company. I don't have to be there, but I feel that I do because that's my employee, and I want to be there.
And that's what a good leader does, and that's what a good leader does. And so, I think it's 100% well said, Paul. No, you're obviously showing leadership. You're doing things that, and you're asking people to do things that you wouldn't do yourself. And a good leader is always there in the trenches as well with their staff. And the other point that you raised, which I again 100% agree with, is how you're building your team. You're building your team with respect. You know that with respect. Hard work just comes automatically, right? Yeah. If you respect people, they'll go to the end of the world for you. They'll do everything they possibly can. And so I think that's a fantastic lesson. And I remember I can't remember who said this, but I used to say this at a lot of conferences and so on. Is that you can show people how smart you are by hiring people that are smarter than you are.
Right.
We don't have all the answers. Like you said, we're not
Absolutely.
perfect, right? And so I think those are fantastic points, Paul, and thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome, Vince. There's one thing I wanted to add to that. Something that, actually two small things, if that's okay.
Please.
So one of those things is, as a business owner, don't be afraid to admit that you made a mistake.
Absolutely.
I make mistakes all the time, and I tell my team that so that they know, hey, you don't have to cover up, hide, or be afraid of making a mistake. Everybody's allowed to make mistakes. That's part of life, and you grow from that, just like we said earlier. But this is another thing that it was a big thing that I had, made this mistake for a long time. I had the philosophy that that you have employees that work 8 to 4 or 9 to 5. We don't want those employees. We want the people that want to work after hours, and they want to work extra time, and they want to do this stuff, and they want to, and I use the term like they're dedicated to your firm or to your organization. They want to be there. They're people that want to work. But I was wrong. Like I'll use even though I'm a huge football guy, I'll use the hockey analogy. My favorite team growing up was the New York Islanders. And the reason that I loved the New York Islanders was because they had diversity. So they had, Butch Goring and Bob Nystrom, who were penalty killers and rough and tumble guys. They had Clark Gillies, who'd go in the corner and dig the puck out, or John Tonelli. And then they had guys like Brian Trottier that would distribute the puck and could score and pass. And then they had snipers like, escaped me, the winger that scored so many goals, Mike Bossy, or Dennis Potvin or Ken Morrow on the point. So they had so much diversity in their team. And you need these people that are going to work hard from 8 to 4 or 9 to 5. But at that time, they're done. And they want to work during that time, and they're willing to work really hard for you. You need all the different types of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And diversity is a beautiful thing. It really builds a culture, not only in the character of people, but in the different types of people that you have in your firm. As Jordan Kemp, who's our operations manager, says many times, wouldn't it be great if everybody thought the same way? Right? And then he starts laughing because we're fortunate that we've built a team that's fairly diversified, because you need different perspectives.
Absolutely. And I would say that if everyone was thinking the same way, I think you've got some redundancy, right? If everyone has the exact same strengths, you've got some redundancy.
Exactly.
Well said again, Paul. So when you're not hard at work, how do you relax? How do you unwind? What do you do to just smell the roses?
Well, there's a lot of things I do. I used to golf quite a bit. I really enjoyed golfing. But first and foremost, when you come to my home, you'll find there's a doormat going into the house. And so the first thing that doormat says is faith, family, and football. And so, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a huge football person, but I mean, everything starts with God. So I am a big believer in putting God first. God is primary in my life, and I try my very best to be the best human being I can be. And so great example, last night I had went into Sleep Country in Barrhaven, and I went to get a comforter. And when I was in Sleep Country, there was a couple purchasing a bed. And so I just, I tried to stay away while they're purchasing the bed and providing payment, discussing their money that they're paying and so forth. And then whenever I felt like, that was all done, I walked over and I was just waiting. And the salesperson said, hey, I'll be with you in just a minute. I said, please take your time. This is a really important thing, purchasing a new bed, and it's a great experience. And I said, please take your time. You don't need to address me right now. I can wait. I'm good. But this is awesome, and congratulations on buying your new bed. And the lady and the couple said, thank you so much. And yeah, it's awesome. We've been wanting to do this for a while, and we're excited by it. And I just, had talked to them and just interacting, being kind, And so I told him, I was in just to buy a comforter or a blanket because I had taken one on a recent trip and it ended up getting left in the hotel. And so when all the discussion was done, the lady from the couple had said, hey, we have this discount that we can't apply to our purchase, but can we apply it to his?
Oh.
And so it's 35% off. And the salesperson said, absolutely. And so I said, oh, like, you don't have to do that, but, thank you so much. But, are you sure? And they said, absolutely. Like, yeah, we'd like to do that. And I said, oh my goodness, like, thank you. I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you.
That's very nice.
And so when they said, no problem. And when they left, the sales representative said, thank you. And I said, for what? And he goes, you just set the tone for this experience by being kind and so kind to these people. And I said, like I said, can I ask your name? He said his name was Yash. I said, hi, my name's Paul. I said, when you come into a place and you've got this angry grin and your tone is angry and you're upset, you create that environment. But when you come in and smile, what do people do? They smile.
Smile back.
And so I said, you don't need to thank me. It's just who I am and who I strive to be. I'm not always that way. No one's perfect. We have things in our life that upset us and you catch people at a bad moment. But overall, that's who I try to be. Now, to answer your question, I love God and I love my family and I love football. And so I coach girls flag football in the community and also competitively. And I've coached tackle football. But right now I'm coaching, my daughter, and girls at the younger age, they want to do well. And, I'm one of these people that it's not about the blue ribbon or the trophy. Yeah, I'd like to win. Absolutely. But it's about the development of the athlete and letting them know that I have their back. And letting them understand that coach cares about you. He wants you to do well. He wants you to grow in the sport. And whenever I finish a season with the athletes, I ask them 4 questions. I ask them, did you play enough? And my second question is, did you have fun? And sometimes people say, why didn't you ask me if I had fun first? And I said, when you show me someone that's sitting on a bench and saying they're having fun, I'll ask that first. But did you play enough? Did you have fun? Did you learn? And the last question is, do you feel that you know enough to compete at this level next year? And would you come back combined? And so when the answers are yes to all these things, I know I've had success.
Great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Again, very well said. And I love the floor mat idea or the welcome mat. That's a great idea. Yeah. Paul, as I said earlier, we've known each other for a long time, and I think for the last 5 or 6 or 7 years, I've also been fortunate to not only have your help, Polar Data's help, with all of the technology needs at WorkAway offices, but you've also been a member of WorkAway offices with some of your team. So if you can tell what led you to WorkAway offices and why are you still here?
This is the best question of the whole podcast. So I'm going to preface this, Vince, with this response. I know you're not going to like this, but too bad. I know who you are. And so years and years ago, I met you and I observed you from afar. And you are absolutely one of the best human beings I have ever met in my life. To elaborate on that, you're welcome. To elaborate on that, you are kind, you are courteous, you are humble, even though many times you don't need to be. Like, there's a lot of people that let you know that they're the man, but they're not really the man. And then there's people like you who don't push that out, but I know you're the man. And so you treat everyone the exact same way, and with respect, kindness, you're considerate, and absolutely one of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my life. But you're generous beyond measure. And so, and to answer any questions on the podcast, no, Vince did not give me any money to say that. Okay? That is the absolute gospel. That is exactly how I feel. The one thing that people can take to the bank is that Vince Valenti is ethical and he's generous in every aspect. and it resonates throughout your whole family. So whether we're dealing with, your wife, Anne, who's one of the kindest people I've met as well, kind, considerate, loving.
I married well.
You married, just
Very
like me,
well.
you married above your class. We married above our class.
That's right.
I married Keisha, and she's above me, no doubt about it. And then you have Michael and you have Stephanie, and like they're just amazing human beings. They're kind, they're generous as well, hardworking, dedicated, and just sharp as a tack. And so, and your employees like Dan, he's amazing as well. Look at this beautiful image in the background. This is gorgeous, and this setup. So all of that resonates with you. And one of the sayings that my wife has, and it's been with me a long time now, is birds of a feather flock together. And so I want to be with like-minded people, people that I can use to emulate what they do, to learn from them as mentors, that are approachable and are willing to share and willing to help, and provide advice here and there, and people that I can really sit back and say, wow, I never thought of that. That's a really nice way of doing things or saying things, or and so. Like you said, to start this podcast, we've been together for 20 plus years. And when we first started, you were a client. And now I consider you a close friend and definitely a mentor. And so, I don't want to put you out there for everybody else to monopolize your time, but I can ask Vince almost anything. And I'm going to get an honest answer, and I'm going to get an educated answer. And if I need help, you're always there for me. So that's my main reason. But WorkAway offices, when I started in business, and I started in a beat down 2-bedroom apartment after Nortel, and it was in a very sketchy part of town, and I had nowhere to have meetings. I had no office. That was my office. And so when I'm asking a client to meet me at Tim Hortons, it gets a little awkward, right? It's awkward. Like, why are we meeting at Tim Hortons? Where's their office? This was not a possibility. And so one of my other mentors, Jim Young, had said, I remember this like it was yesterday, when COVID started, he said, you have a unique opportunity like none other. You can get office space that is affordable, yet as good or better than what you currently have. And you don't need a giant office. And so the flexibility of working in different locations and still being professional, I think that's what WorkAway Office gives you. I mean, their internet here is amazing. The staff's amazing. The office infrastructure is professional grade. Glass walls, glass doors, beautiful furniture. All from an IT perspective, it gives you everything that you would want and then some. And the ability to collaborate, in common space or in private with your team, or just have a conversation in private, remotely where nobody else can hear you, with your booths downstairs, all the amenities, all the things, like it just says who you are, right? And this is by design through yourself and your family and your company, but just this is incredible, to be honest.
Wow. Well, thank you, Paul. That's a great, very, very kind words, and I really appreciate that. First of all, and I gotta say, thank you for being here. This has been, I think this has been an amazing chat. I've learned a little bit more about you as well, and which has been very, very special. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Folks, thank you for being here today. If you do want to get in touch with Paul Young, we're going to make sure that his contact information is posted below in the comment section. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast as much as I have. And if you do, please subscribe. You'll be automatically updated for future podcasts. And if you can, please give us a thumbs up as well. So thank you for listening, and until next time, thank you. Thanks,
Thanks,
Paul.
Vince. Thank you for having me.